Welcome, everybody. Today, we'll be talking about the work of Dr. John Gottman, psychologist and relationship expert. He has written a book called The 7 Principles to Making Marriage Work, and it's 7 principles that he's come up with that can take a flatline marriage and resuscitate it, bring life back into it. So, without further ado, guys, let's get into this. Before I talk about the 7 principles, I want to talk about how he predicts divorce. He claims to have a 91% prediction rate on divorces. And how does he do that? It's something that he calls the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. I'll go through them right now. There are 4 things that come up in arguments that end the argument and really do a number on the relationship overall. The first one's criticism. It's where instead of making a complaint, say about the clothes on the floor, you target your partner's laziness instead. It's an attack. Instead of saying what you need, you're saying what you don't like about your partner. The second is contempt. It's a way of assuming moral high ground over your partner and basically saying, I'm pretty close to perfect and you've got a lot wrong with you, and what you said was pretty stupid. The third is defensiveness, and I'm sure you guys can see how those first 2 can trigger defensiveness. It's natural to want to defend ourselves, but unfortunately, it doesn't quite yield a positive result most of the time. It actually just makes it seem like you're saying the problem's not me, but it's actually you. The fourth is stonewalling. This is where you are completely emotionally overwhelmed by the conversation, so you get flooded with emotions and disengage altogether. This doesn't do anybody any good, and if it happens too much, you might just disengage from the relationship altogether. Now, guys, there's 7 principles that Dr. Gottman has come up with, and I'm going to tell them to you right now. I'm going to run through them briefly, and I'm going to have some graphics to the side of me that better demonstrate what I'm talking about. The first is enhancing your love maps. This is all about just knowing the little things about your partner, from what their favorite TV show was, the project they're working on at work, their deepest dreams, their biggest fears. Anything that shows you know what their life is all about. You're invested in them. The second principle is nurture your fondness and admiration. We all had that symbiotic honeymoon phase in our relationship. And thinking back on that, reflecting to why do you not only just love each other, but like each other and respect each other? Reflecting on that and talking about that can really bring those feelings back. The third principle is turn towards each other instead of away. This means making bids for each other's attention. 2 common situations where bids for attention are missed by a partner is 1, it's hidden under a criticism or negative tone, such as, you're never home, you don't even care about me. Well, what's the underlying message of that? It's, I miss you and I wish I could see you more. Even something framed negatively can be an underlying bid for your attention. And it's really just about changing that negative tone to a positive one. And maybe try saying, instead of, you're never home, you don't even care about me, start it with I, and say, I would really like to see you more because I miss you. The second one is being distracted by the wired world. Putting restrictions on your phone can really be great for your relationships in this way because they're just attention thieves. They take your attention like crazy and you don't even know it. I know I fall victim to this all the time, especially being in school. So maybe setting a time limit or being more mindful of your screen time could help with this. Principle 4 is let your partner influence you. This means let your partner in on your decision making. And guys, Dr. Gottman says this is mainly directed at you. Men typically will want to handle everything themselves. Again, I know I do. But letting your partner in your decision making, your beliefs, really can be a great sign of respect to her and it can really start to create your guys' own little culture within your marriage. When conflict is happening, that kind of shared influence and shared culture within your marriage, it really kind of, it can bring you together in those times instead of just have you live in parallel lives separate from each other. So principle number 5 is solve your solvable problems. There's perpetual problems and solvable problems. Perpetual ones are ones that'll never go away. Maybe you disagree on religion or how to raise the kids. Those kind of problems need to be worked around, but they're not going to be solved. And that's okay, because every relationship will have unsolvable problems. But in terms of the solvable ones, here's Gottman's 5 problem-solving steps. 1, soften your startup. When you go to talk about a sensitive issue in your relationship, try kind of pre-planning how you go about it. Instead of coming on harsh and really passionate like you may want to, it can be really tough, but try and imagine how they're going to receive how you start up that argument. And maybe if you soften it, it won't be an argument at all, but it'll make way to be able to have a conversation where you understand one another and not just kind of yell at each other. Second is learn to make and receive repair attempts. So this is if things get heated, say one of your little inside jokes if you have something like that. If not, make one. I know of a couple who would take their clothes off when they would start fighting. It was really just to make each other laugh and to lighten up the mood, because the goal is never to be angry and yell at each other. So finding something like that with your partner could be really helpful too. The third is soothe yourself and each other. Know when you're triggering each other's sensitive spots, your raw spots, and talk about how you can soothe each other in those moments. The fourth is always compromise. Marriage is all about compromise. And, unfortunately, you can't always get what you want, like the Rolling Stones said. So you're really just going to have to work together as a team. And that's why it's your partner. You guys are going to have to make compromises, especially around those perpetual problems as well, that work for both of you. And that requires talking about it. The last one is process any past grievances so they don't linger around in your conversations. Things can build up, simmer over time, and really just explode at certain moments, and processing grievances can prevent this. Okay, so we're going to move on to principle number 6 now, and it's going to be overcoming gridlock. How do you know if you're gridlocked in a relationship? Well, there's 4 ways. 1, if you have the same argument over and over again with no resolution. 2, conflict can't be approached with humor, empathy, or affection. 3, the issue becomes increasingly polarizing as time goes on. And 4, compromise seems impossible because it feels like you're selling out. There's 2 ways that Gottman says you can work on gridlock, and one is working on that fondness and admiration. Principle 2. It can be a helpful tool for starting to overcome gridlock. It probably won't solve it, but it'll make things a little easier. Focus on why did you like each other when you first started dating? Talk about that. Think about those times. That's nurturing your fondness and admiration. A big factor in gridlock is unexpressed dreams, Gottman says. And having a conversation about not just your surface level dreams, like being a professional bowler or making $1 million, but maybe having a deep sense of security in your family, or giving your kids the life that you didn't have growing up. Maybe those kind of dreams can be crucial in overcoming gridlock and talking about those dreams, because they can kind of really enlighten your partner on where you're coming from, why your stance is so solid and why theirs is so solid, and why you can't seem to make it out of that lock. if you can talk about why you're here and they're here, maybe you can start to unravel and then come together. The last is create shared meaning through rituals together, through shared values. If you have different values, kind of just talking about them, sharing your perspective, and again, just really seeing each other's world for what it is. You don't always have to agree, because most couples don't agree on everything. In fact, all couples don't. But again, that's okay. Really just telling each other what you're all about. And that might sound silly if you've been married for 20, 25 years. But sometimes these things really fly under the radar, Gottman says. And having rituals of connection, like going to church together, eating dinner together, respecting each other's roles in the relationship, roles as a man and a woman, sharing goals together and dreams, and having symbols and values together. And that doesn't just mean a religious symbol or spiritual values. That can be any kind of symbol, just something you like together. If you guys share the same favorite animal, anything, just, stuff that you can relate on, stuff that you share together, that really just brings you closer and creates your own shared meaning. So now that we're through with the 7 principles, I want to reassure you that this really can work, but learning them and applying them is only the start. Couples who have gone through with this spend an extra 6 hours a week working on their marriage with these principles, and here's how you do it. Make sure you say goodbye every morning and learn one thing about each other's day before leaving. That takes 10 minutes a week. When you come home, greet with a 6-second embrace, then have a 20-minute conversation about the day. That's an hour, 40 minutes a week. And that's a powerful one too. Find a way every single day to communicate admiration and affection. Say, I love you genuinely. That's a total of 35 minutes a week. Affection is really important as well. And find ways to show affection throughout every day, even if it's just a little kiss, even if it's just a hug. Find ways to do that. And every week, go on a little date too. That's 2 hours once a week. Use a babysitter, maybe a relative if needed, for the little ones if needed. But it's really important to make time for just the 2 of you. And then the final part is 1 hour a week. Talk about the state of your relationship that week in what Gottman calls the State of the Union meeting. Guys, the 4 horsemen will want to make their way into your conflicts, especially if they already have. But reviewing those and just making sure you don't allow them into your life is a great start. Then applying the 7 principles like I just listed could really be a game changer. So thank you all for listening. God bless you, and I wish you the best.